A warm good morning to everyone. It gives me immense pleasure to welcome the virtual gathering. We are here for some learning and we do learn something every day. I wish to show my humblest gratitude to our Honorable VC Sir, Registrar in Charge and Controller of Examinations in Charge, Tamilnadu Teachers Education University, for being supportive to our Center for Civil Services and TNPSC coaching. It is because of their support our webinar sessions are reaching milestones each and every day. I would like to welcome our most respected resource person, Dr.N.Ramakrishnan, Member Syndicate, Professor and Head, Department of Educational Technology, Tamilnadu Teachers Education University, who is here with us to impart knowledge. Success is no accident. It is hard work, perseverance, learning, studying, sacrificing, and most of all, loving what we do or learning to do. Our resource person is moving towards success because of his hard work and perseverance. It is not simple for anyone to act as resource person for 25 webinars in just 50 days. It takes a lot of preparation and dedication to do so. Our resource person is a man of such dedication who works for the betterment of the student community. With a heart full of happiness and gratitude, I welcome you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
I would like to extend my welcome to the professors, teachers, research scholars, students who are a part of this webinar. It is because of you all, every day marks a history for our center. Welcome participants. And last but not the least, I would like to welcome our team members who never fail to prove that teamwork leads to success. Welcome team members. Once again, I welcome all of you to this webinar. Sir, the session is off to you now, sir.
Yes. Sharing option, can you give one more?
Yes, sir, I'll give you, sir.
Wait, it is with me.
Sir, I have cancelled. I'll give it to you again, sir.
Good morning, everybody. Today, part of our research in education, now we are seeing part 5. In this part 5, the main focus is on validity and reliability. And having seen the importance of validity and reliability, I have taken these two things only for today's discussion. So I would like to give a lot of examples, illustrations from your practical life so that you will keep in your mind for a very long time. And I would like to go each and every topic in UGC NET syllabus, research in education, based on its importance and based on its relevance, based on proper understanding and giving concrete experiences to learners is my prime motto. That's why I go slow. I am not in a hurry to complete the syllabus, and I can complete it in a very long time. But my aim is to make students understand each and every topic. And even if you have known only half of it, that's enough. Half of it fully you have understood, fully you have concretized, and that will help you to get good scores in your UGC NET exam. With that thing in my mind, I have prepared these slides. Not only that, and this will also help you to do your research. So after clearing NET or NET examination, and if you pursue your research, it will help you to understand. It will help you to make your research study interesting and meaningful. Most of the researchers are being conducted without meaning into it. And I have seen most of the students are doing research for the sake of degree and getting some sort of increments, or some for getting qualifications as per NCT norms to be required for principal post. But and this topic on this presentation is to make you understand each and every concept of education, research in education, what it is, and it will help you to make your research study a meaningful one. And here my wish is that all the research scholars should do the research, the real meaning of research, and in the real interest of research. It is not their fault; it is fault of somebody else. And if they have been taught properly, everybody will cherish the moments of doing research. In that view, I have been covering each and every topic. In the last class, we covered sampling techniques and all. And in this class, we would like to cover validity. Now, let me read out the meaning of validity. Validity in research refers to how accurately a study answers the study question or the strength of the study conclusions. For outcome measures such as surveys or tests, validity refers to the accuracy of measurement. Here, validity refers to how well the assessment tool actually measures the underlying outcome of interest. In this picture, you see the validity, you see the exact point you should attack. That is the purpose of validity. And sir, why we are discussing about validity? We are discussing about validity of your tool. What do you mean by tool? The tool, normally for a research tool, is a questionnaire, rating scale, attitude test, aptitude test, and all the achievement tests and criterion tests. All the tests are known as tools of research. Why do we call these as tools? Because through these questionnaires, you would like to get the traits from the population. Suppose you imagine that you wanted to know about the pandemic effect on student population or corona lockdown effect on student population. Now, how will you go about? You will not. You cannot just go about and ask questions. You have to construct a tool. What do you mean by tool here? Construct a questionnaire. And what may be the items in the questionnaire? How do you feel about lockdown period? How long you have been holed up at home? How long you stay at home? Or how many of the persons? How many persons are there in your home? And how do you spend your time at home? So questions will be like this. So when you construct questions like this, and you should check whether these questions really give a fruitful meaning to the topic, that effect of lockdown on students' population. What are the effects that it gives? Do you feel that suppose students, they may have a feeling of going out for playing? Do you feel that the lockdown period has completely curtailed your playing interest? Or do you think that the lockdown period has made you to sit up at home? Do you think like that? Questions should be framed like that. While framing these type of questions, you will be coming out with the exact effect of this lockdown period on students. Okay, that is known as validity. That means a test should measure what it purports to measure. And எதை சோதனை செய்ய வேண்டுமோ அதை சோதனை செய்ய வேண்டும். Validity in research refers to how accurately a study answers the study question or the strength of the study conclusions. For outcome measures such as surveys or tests, validity refers to the accuracy of measurement. Here, validity refers to how well the assessment tool actually measures the underlying outcome of interest. Validity is not a property of the tool itself, but rather of the interpretation of specific purpose of the assessment tool with particular settings and learners. I will give example. The assessment instrument must be both reliable and valid for study research to be credible. Credible, what do you mean by credible? If you are supposed by this effect of lockdown period on students' mindset, suppose we have taken up this as study, you have constructed questions. The questions should be very accurate and you should bring out the effect of lockdown period on students' mindset. What are the things which have affected the students' mindset, and you should imagine, and for that you have to construct questions. Once you have constructed questions and you have to check, and then that checking is known as validity. The checking the accuracy of a test is known as validity. Checking the accuracy in different ways that we will discuss in the following slides, and that is tools, types of validity. Now I'll give one example for validity. For example, this is halwa, and you might have seen this is halwa shop in Tirunelveli known as Tiruttakadai halwa. Suppose there is a topic, example of validity, consumer preferences in halwa. Suppose I would like to give an example, concrete example for validity. Consumer preferences in halwa. The questions normally I have listed out. The questions normally, if suppose I have been given this topic, consumer preferences in halwa, and I have to prepare a questionnaire, because that is the tool through which I can understand the consumer preferences of consumer preferences in halwa. So questions, you see the questions, I just read out the questions. Does the sweet added in the halwa sufficient? Has the halwa been added adequate ghee? Do you like the ambience of the halwa shop? Is it served hot? Is it really tasty? These are the questions. And can you just once again I repeat these questions. Does the sweet added in the halwa sufficient? Has the halwa been added adequate ghee? Do you like the ambience of the halwa shop? Is it served hot? Is it really tasty? I am framing questions like this, because through these questions I wanted to get the opinion of consumers. And in my view, looking at the validity, face validity, these questions are somewhat related to halwa. Now see the other side of the questions, which are again I am asking consumer preferences in halwa. In that I am asking questions. See, do you like eating halwa? Do you have sugar problem? Or do you like snacks? Do you feel that halwa will increase your weight? Are you diet conscious? Has doctor advised not to take snacks? Are you overweight? If I suppose you now I read out once again. Do you like eating halwa? Do you have sugar problem? Do you like snacks? Do you feel that halwa will increase your weight? Are you diet conscious? Has doctor advised not to take snacks? Are you overweight? Now see the questions difference between the first type of questions and the other type of questions. Now we can very easily say that the first type of questions are related to halwa. The next two questions are not exactly pinpointing the consumer preferences in halwa. Instead, it is asking some other details like snacking snacks, overweight, diet conscious, doctor's prescription, doctor's advice, and sugar problem, this and that. So it is not exactly attacking the center point of your consumer preferences. But here in the first, it is exactly attacking the consumer preferences. So we have checked that here by seeing this. This is known as face validity. In order to this is the way in which we have to find out validity. But naturally, now we can easily understand why validity is important. Now we can see these two type of questions. You can very easily say that the first one is having validity, the second one is not having validity, because the first one is asking questions exactly to the consumer preferences in halwa. The second type of questions which are not asking the consumer preferences in halwa, but rather it asking questions related to some other aspects, not exactly related to halwa. Now we can see the differences. It is accurate, that is not accurate. That is why in order to check the accuracy, we have to see validity. This is the example that I hope that you will understand why validity is important. Now let us see content types of validity. Content validity. When a test has content validity, the items on the test represent the entire range of possible items the test should cover. Individual test questions may be drawn from a large pool of items that cover a broad range of topics. In some instances, where a test measures a trait that is difficult to define, an expert judge may rate each item's relevance, because each judge is basing their rating on opinion. Two independent judges rate the test separately. Items that are rated as strongly relevant by both judges will be included in the final test. Okay. Now here for this I have set up questions. Suppose another one example I have taken here: customer satisfaction in two-wheeler repair. You can actually take, because this is a study that I have taken, and for this study I have to construct a questionnaire. Now see the questions I have asked: whether the mechanic identified the problems in the bike, whether the vehicle is repaired properly, whether the vehicle is given proper tune-up, and whether has the attendant checked all irregularities in the bike. These are all the questions I have framed. So in this content validity, what is content validity? There were two judges, two judges are rating the test two judges are rating the test items in a separate time. So now I am giving these questions. So another judge will also have questions, but the basic criterion of problems in the bike, repairing and tuning up and checking irregularities, these are the common idea. The same will be the other rater's opinion also. So that is why we can assume that it is having content validity. Selecting a tool or a questionnaire, we have to give it to two different judges, and the two different judges will rate it. That is known as content validity. Once again, now I would like to read it again. An expert judge may rate each item's relevant base. Suppose for individual test questions may be drawn from a large pool of items that cover a broad range of topics. In some instances where a test measures a trait that is difficult to define, an expert judge may rate each item's relevance, because each judge is basing their rating on opinion. Two independent judges rate the test separately. Once you have constructed the questions, you are giving to an expert in the customer satisfaction, or one who has already specialized in the particular field you are giving, and you are giving the same questionnaire to another one expert who is also famous in that particular customer satisfaction in repairing bike. The two different judges give their opinions on the test. Then you are compiling them. That is known as content validity. For example, in a classroom situation, suppose you have constructed a test on history, and the test should be given to two different history teachers. And the two different teachers, both of them have agreed upon the common questions you can take. The teachers who differ on the questions should be eliminated. That is why when the two different history teachers are agreeing on some common questions, that is known as having content validity. Those questions are said to be having content validity. Now, next we will move on to criterion related validity. A test is said to have criterion related validity when the test has demonstrated its effectiveness in predicting criterion or indicators of a construct, such as when an employer hires new employees based on normal hiring procedures like interviews, education, and experience. This method demonstrates that people who do well on a test will do well on a job, and people with a low score on a test will do poorly on a job. So this is, for example. So actually, criterion related validity, there are two different types of criterion validity. One is concurrent validity, another one is predictive validity. Now let us see what is concurrent validity. Concurrent validity occurs when the criterion measures are obtained at the same time as the test scores. This indicates the extent to which the test scores accurately estimate an individual's current state with regard to the criterion. For example, on a test that measures levels of depression, the test would be said to have concurrent validity if it measured the current levels of depression experienced by the test taker. For example, normally once you have constructed a test, for example, for depression, for fear, for anxiety, for all these things, there are a lot of tools available in the market. Those tools, so though it was constructed in 1970 or 1980 or 1990, and if it is relevant to even the present situation, that tool is said to be having concurrent validity. I will give one example. Suppose happiness inventory. You have seen happiness inventory, but it was prepared and standardized by two psychologists in the year 1995. You take for example. Now you are applying in the year 2020. The happiness inventory, like what it revealed in 1995, it reveals the same in 2020. That test is said to be having concurrent validity. Even now it is relevant. That should be ensured for every tool. For example, in your topic, you have taken a tool, you are going under referring a library, and the library you are seeing a tool which was prepared in 1952, and you have to see the relevance of the test even in the present situation. How to check the relevance of the thing in the present situation? You have to give this to a sample of people, and you have to find out the effect of it. And if it brings the same, then you can use it. For example, and I have seen some of the questions which are some of the test items which have been prepared much earlier, 1950, 1960, but still it is the relevant tool even in the present situation. And I can give give a lot of example. I can if you see the questions or test items in the psychology lab, we can find there are tools which have been prepared in the 1950s. Even intelligence scale, it is still relevant now. Like that, there are many tools which are even now it is relevant. That tool is said to be having concurrent validity. Then another one is predictive validity. Predictive validity occurs when the criterion measures are obtained at a time after the test. For examples of tests with predictive validity are career or aptitude tests, which are helpful in determining who is likely to succeed or fail in certain subjects or occupations. I have already told you mechanical aptitude test, clerical aptitude test, and all those tests are being conducted by SSC because these tests will reveal whether the candidates are really having that aptitude. Aptitude is not only psychological construct, but it is also a psychophysical disposition towards a particular skill or job is known as aptitude. That means the aptitude tests are having predictive validity. It predicts whether the person is having really mechanical aptitude. Then you can find these persons are suitable for engineering courses. And if a person is good for clerical jobs in a staff selection commission, that kind of validity is known as predictive validity. These two validities are under criterion validity. Now I would like to give one example for criterion and criteria. What is criteria? Criterion is nothing but the quality or trait or something concept that we fix for a particular thing. That is known as criterion. We can fix any number of criterions based on the research variable. That I will, in the example, I will say. Now we see there is 42 item depression scale, and another scale has been prepared. Stephane's new depression scale, and administer both tests and compare the results. When we administer both tests and compare the results, and if both results give the same results, then we can consider that the tool is said to be having concurrent validity. Now you see, this is for predictive validity. For example, 10 per day. A person is smoking 10 cigarettes per day, and addiction level and substantial increase, and it is substantially he has also been increasing. On the basis of a test, predictive validity predicts a future outcome with respect to a criterion measure. So now we can naturally predict that 10 per day means substantially it is increasing. Naturally, the addiction level is gradually increasing. If a person is smoking 10 cigarettes per day, gradually he has been increasing. We can say that the addiction level is very high. That means this test brings out the prediction of his future performance. Now this is construct validity. Construct is a psychological trait. A test has construct validity if it demonstrates an association between the test scores and the prediction of a theoretical trait. Intelligent tests are one example of measurement instruments that should have construct validity. A valid intelligence test should be able to accurately measure the construct of intelligence rather than other characteristics such as memory or education level. Now see, these are all the constructs. So those things which are considered psychological traits, and knowing about the psychological traits is known as construct validity. Intelligence, fear, anxiety, motivation. These are all psychological traits. and a tool which is measuring these psychological traits is known as having concept validity. Then face validity, it is very simple validity, easy validity. Another method that is used rarely because it is not very sophisticated is face validity. Not very sophisticated means very easy. Easy means face validity. It is based only on the appearance of the measure and what it is supposed to measure, but not what the test actually measures. Face validity is one of the most basic measures of validity. Essentially, researchers are simply taking the validity of the test at face value by looking at whether a test appears to measure the target variable. On a measure of happiness, for example, the test would be said to have face validity if it appeared to actually measure levels of happiness. See, looking at the test itself, so the first ALVA test itself is an example for face validity. Looking at the item in the test itself, we can say that these are all questions are related to ALVA. These are all questions not related to ALVA, but related to the health status of a person. Instead of preferences in ALVA, if we say that health status of customers, that questions are relevant. But these questions are not relevant or not relevant, and like that you can identify. You can looking at the question itself, question item itself, you can judge whether these items are relevant to the topic, relevant to the research variable, relevant to the questions that we have been asking, relevant to the common idea of your research. Then you can assume that that test is said to be having face validity. So these are all validity, and now. Another one is nomological validity, not necessary to know it now, but anyway you can have it in your mind. Nomological is refers to the theory and theoretical concepts within which a concept is embedded. Nomological validity would mean something along the lines of, is the concept being measured related to the measures of concepts that are theoretically related to it in ways predicted by the theory. That the concept is now reading this, it is very tough, and this slide will help you understand what is nomological validity. Examining whether the correlations among related concepts make sense. Example: relationship, market orientation and business performance. Well-grounded theoretical reasons. That market orientation will give us some ideas related to theoretical reasons for the business performance. This is known as nomological validity. Now, the main type of validity we have to remember is content validity, criterion validity, concept validity, and face validity. Now, see content validity, appropriate content. Whether we are checking whether the content is appropriate or not. That is known as content validity. Face validity, does the test appear to test what it aims to. Concept validity, does the test relate to the underlying theoretical concepts. Criterion related relationship to other measures, and in the concurrent criterion related we are seeing concurrent validity and predictive validity. Concurrent, does the test relate to an existing or similar measure. For example, you are conducting a test on study habits of students at 11th standard level. Study habits, you are constructing your own tool. Then how to check whether it is having validity or not? There are already available tools on study habits. Then you are conducting the study habits to a particular group of students, and you are also conducting this, and you are seeing the effect of these two tools, and you both are giving the both are giving the same result. You can assume that the tool that you have prepared is said to be having concurrent validity. And if your test is going to predict the future performance of a person, that is known as that you can assume that that tool is having predictive validity. Then once again, read types of validity. Content validity, does the measure adequately measure the concept? Face validity, do experts validate the instrument measures what its name suggests it measures? Criterion related validity, Does the measure differentiate in a manner that helps to predict a criterion variable? Concurrent validity, does the measure differentiate in a manner that helps to predict a criterion variable currently? Predictive validity, does the measure differentiate individuals in a manner as to help predict a future criterion? Concept validity, does the instrument tap the concept as to arise? Convergent validity, do two instruments measuring the concept correlate highly? Discriminant validity, does the measure have a low correlation with the variable that is supposed to be unrelated to this variable? That is convergent validity and discriminant validity. That in the later course I will explain to you. Again, see here, face validity. Tool measures content according to the lay person. Even lay person can judge that the questions are related to it or the questions are not related to it. Okay, and that is face validity. Content validity, tool measures content according to an expert based on theory. Criterion validity, the criteria of the tool match other tools. Concurrent or convergent validity, tool gives similar scores as other tools on the same subjects. Discriminant validity, tool gives high scores for well people and low scores for sick people. That means differentiate between the toppers and slow learners. Suppose you are conducting a test in your classroom and the test results, if you analyze, if you do item analysis, and the item analysis, the main character is difficulty index and discrimination index. In the discrimination index, the tester should give a differentiation between the high performers and low performers. Suppose in your test all are performing equally means it is not giving differentiation. It is not discriminating the top performers and low performers. That means your test construction is very poor. You have not constructed the test in such a manner that it is giving discriminant value to top performers and slow performers. All are equally performing means it is not discriminating between the toppers and slow learners. Then the test tool cannot be considered as having validity. Then predictive validity, tool predicts significant differences among different groups. And construct validity, tool measures what it is supposed to. Internal validity, measurement results warrant a casual conclusion. Again, I am reading again and again so that you will keep in your mind. Suppose the questions related to been asked, you will very clearly answer, but it will not go off your mind. That's why I read it again and again. You see this face validity, measure appears to assess a concept. Content validity, content reflects domain of interest. Criterion validity is number 2 validity, concurrent validity, correlation with other measure. Predictive validity, correlation with the future performance. Then types of validity, criterion validity, or criterion validity, or it is two types. Predictive validity and concurrent validity. Content validity, construct validity is again divided into two. One is convergent validity, another one is discriminant validity. And reliability and validity. Here in validity alone you can see content, criterion, concept. Concept you can see convergent validity, discriminant validity, homological validity. Then reliability, test retest methods, alternative forms, internal consistency. I hope you all have understood validity very clearly. I would like to give a recap again about validity. Validity is nothing but accuracy of a measure, in which 4 important types of validity are there. Number 1 is content validity. In content validity, and once you have constructed a questionnaire and 2 different judges are giving rating for that for the content given in your questionnaire, if 2 different judges are agreed upon common upon the same items, those items can be taken for your questionnaire and other items can be eliminated. Once you do like this, you are ensuring content validity of your tool. I hope you are clear now. Now, number 2, criterion related validity. The criterion related validity, there are 2 types. One is concurrent validity, another one is predictive validity. In concurrent validity, suppose you have found out you have developed a new tool on a particular on a particular thing, just like study habits, that should be compared with the earlier prepared tool. And when you compare, both are giving the same results. that tool is said to be having concurrent validity, predictive validity, and suppose you are constructing a tool that should give future performance, that should clearly give an idea about the future performance of a student. There are a number of aptitude tests available. You are also making an attempt to make a new aptitude test, and after constructing an aptitude test, then you have to compare your aptitude test with that of other aptitude tests, and if you both are giving same results, then your tool is said to be having predictive validity. Then construct validity, intelligence scales are the example for construct validity. It is more complicated. It is psychological trait related. Normally the fear, anxiety, all the psychological well-being, depression, all these things are known as construct validity, where whether the particular psychological traits have been included or not, we are checking that, and if we check that, then it is assumed to be having construct validity. And one of the easiest validity is nothing but phase validity. Looking at the question itself, we can say whether these items are relevant or not. So after having known about all these types of validity, now if you go and read some of the MA dissertations available in the library, you can see the title would be something different. The question items would be something different. Suppose in the study habits interview, suppose most of the people you are now there is a craze for type of topics like that, ICT awareness among students. Suppose if you go and check the questions they have given appended in the thesis dissertation, MA dissertation, ICT awareness among higher secondary students. Suppose there is a thesis on this topic, and the questions actually, what type of questions actually it should have? The questions should be related to ICT. But if you go and check the question items will be something different. Okay, that means it is not having any type of validity, not phase validity. First of all, very easiest validity, phase validity. If it is not at all having phase validity. I gave one example for the phase validity, that is halwa shop. The questions should be related to halwa, not related to any other thing, related to health status, or related to your disease, related to your basic habit. That and all should not be there. So if you have all these items, you are going out of your area. You are going out of your area. You are off the track. You are not on the track. You are off the track. That means that test is not a valid test. That it is not a valid test. You are bringing out any result out of your test. That result is not valid to the real research problem. That is why we are bothered about validity. In methodology chapter, you can see validity is very, very important, because if the test is not a valid test, you are bringing out a result, you are bringing out data, you are doing some statistical analysis, and you are giving some, you are finding some findings, or by your findings you are giving some conclusions and education implications. All those things are waste of time, waste of energy. It is not at all useful. It is nothing. That is why we give importance to validity. Like importance being given to validity, reliability is also very, very important. Now let us see why reliability is important. Now I will give you reliability. Suppose if you are going to a doctor and you are seeing your temperature says that 98, and after a particular period of time again you are going to the doctor, the temperature temperature again, if he is testing you with the same measurement code, that the temperature is giving something 30 or 40, that means the temperature is not said to be having reliability, because it is inconsistent. It gives different results in different times. The test should not give different results in different times. If it is giving different results in different times, it is said to be not having reliability. That is why I have given one example for you to understand. See, let us read. Let us read the definition. What is reliability? Okay. Then we will go to the example. For example, if a person weighs themselves during the course of a day, they would expect to see a similar reading. Scales which measured weight differently each time would be of little use. The same analogy could be applied to a tape measure which measures inches differently each time it was used. it would not be considered reliable. If findings from research are replicated consistently, they are reliable. A correlation coefficient can be used to assess the degree of reliability. If a test is reliable, it should show a high positive correlation. It should show a high positive correlation. Then only the test can be used for your study. Otherwise, the test should be discarded. You have to construct another test which will give a high reliability, high correlation. Of course, it is unlikely that exact same results will be obtained each time as participants and situations vary. But a strong positive correlation between the results of the same test indicates reliability. In the test reliability, then normally we employ correlation statistics. In that correlation, present product moment correlation we are applying. In that correlation value is very high, we can consider that test is highly reliable. See, measure 1 in the first time, second time also, both are giving nearly equal measurement. That means that that balance, both time it should give equal measure. That means it is having reliability. Otherwise, it is not having reliability. So I have taken one example. Example for reliability: customer satisfaction in shopping mall. This is the topic I have taken. Customer satisfaction in shopping mall. We are all going to shopping mall. Now shopping malls are closed because of lockdown, corona. Now see, the questions I have constructed. Do you like the front look and ambience of the mall? Number 2, does the mall have all necessary shops? Number 3, is the mall clean and neat? Number 4, does it have customer-friendly structures like escalators, lift and parking facilities? So I have listed out all these questions. Now just imagine if the questions are asked in particular period, for example in the January 2020. Now I am going to, after this lockdown period, I am going to again employ the same test, and you see the items which I have covered. Will it be reliable or not? Even after a long period of time, the same questions will give the same results. Suppose if you see, it is not changeable. Front leg and ambience, can you change? No. And you see this question: does the mall have all necessary shops? The question is very relevant even at different times. Is the mall clean and neat? Even if you ask in different times, the question is very reliable. Does it have customer-friendly structures like escalators, lift, and parking facility? That is also very, very important. You cannot eliminate, and it will also have a reliability. But what are the questions which will not have reliability? Suppose if you are asking, does the temperature is good for you to shop in the mall today? This question you cannot ask in the after 3 months, because that time the temperature or the climatic conditions or other things may vary. That time that question is not relevant. That means it will not show a reliable measure. That is example I can give you for reliability. Now results are consistent. Results because in my questions the results now will be consistent. Even if you ask in the previous day, in the previous month, and asking in the next month, and the results will be similar, but the results will not vary. Suppose if we ask, do you like the climate today? It will differ. It will differ. It will not be consistent, because one time climate is different. Today the climate is very, very, very salubrious climate that we are seeing. We yesterday experienced rain in Madurai, but today this may not be the reason. The time may be hot. That if you ask questions like that, it will not have reliability. That is why the test should have a reliability that we have to find out. Then what are the 3 types of finding out reliability that we will discuss later? Reliability in statistics and psychometrics is the overall consistency of a measure. A measure is said to have a high reliability if it produces similar results under consistent conditions. It is the characteristics of a set of test scores that relates to the amount of random error from the measurement process that might be embedded in the scores. Scores that are highly reliable are precise, reproducible, and consistent from one testing occasion to another. That is, if the testing process were repeated with a group of test takers, essentially the same results will be obtained. Various kinds of reliability coefficients with values ranging between 0 and 1 are usually used to indicate the amount of error in the scores. For example, measurements of people's height and weight are often extremely reliable. The measurement scales that we are using for height and weight are extremely reliable, because even in a different times it will show the same thing. So likewise, the normally correlation value ranges from 0 to 1, 0 to plus 1. So correlation value, suppose if you are conducting a test, after 1 month or 2 months, you are conducting the same test and you are comparing these two test results and you are employing Pearson's product movement correlation. The correlation value you are getting 0.84 or 0.90 means it is very high correlation. That means the test is said to be having reliability. Suppose you are getting a correlation value that is 0.20 means it is very low correlation. The test is not reliable because it differs in terms of time, in terms of period. That is, it is inconsistent. It is not giving consistent results. It is giving inconsistent results. And inter-rater reliability in statistics, inter-rater reliability we are often using it, and also called by various similar names such as inter-rater agreement, inter-rater concordance, inter-observer reliability, and so on. Is the degree of agreement among raters. I told you, degree of agreement among raters. It is the score of how much homogeneity or consensus exists in the ratings given by various judges. So you are giving two different judges, and both are agreeing on some questions, both are not agreeing on some of the questions. That means how much homogeneity is there, how much differentiation is there between these two judges. That is known as inter-rater reliability. In contrast, inter-rater reliability is a score of the consistency in rating given by the same person across multiple instances. Inter-rater and intra-rater reliability or aspects of test validity. Assessments of them are useful in refining the tools given to human judges. For example, by determining if a particular scale is appropriate for measuring a particular variable. If various raters do not agree, either the scale is defective or the raters need to be retrained. For example, I will give one medical example. Suppose two different doctors are giving two different opinions regarding the blood test taken for you, and one is saying that the 120 mg of 120 in your sugar level is acceptable. The other doctor is saying that 140 is not acceptable, 140 is acceptable, 100 only is acceptable. These two raters are differing on the blood test measurement. That means the test is not having reliability. The inter-rater reliability is not there. But that is the example I can give. So two blood tests, the one doctor is accepting, that is the sugar is under control. Another doctor is saying that the sugar is not under control. If it is below 100, it is acceptable. Means they are doubting the measurement, or they are not having reliability in that measure. That is known as inter-rater reliability. For example, see customer 1 and customer 2. That both are inter-rater reliability. Both are agreeing upon a particular item. That is known as inter-rater reliability. Then reliability, repeatability, or test retest reliability. Normally we go for test retest reliability for all our questionnaires or whatever the items, whatever the tools that we are using for our study. We are going for test retest method because it is the easiest method in finding out reliability. Test retest reliability is the closeness of the agreement between the results of successive measurements of the same measure and carried out under the same conditions of measurement. In other words, the measurements are taken by a single person or instrument on the same item under the same conditions and in a short period of time. A less than perfect test retest reliability causes test retest variability. Such variability can be caused by, for example, intra-individual variability and intra-observer variability. A measurement may be said to be repeatable when this variation is smaller than a predetermined acceptance criterion. Test retest variability is practically used, for example, in medical monitoring of conditions. In these situations, there is often a predetermined critical difference, and for differences in monitored values, that are smaller than this critical difference, the possibility of pre-test variability as a sole cause of the difference may be considered in addition to, for example, in changes in diseases or treatments. So you may be finding it very difficult to understand what it is. A test-retest variability, test-retest variability. In the first test, that's for example, you are going for a ECG, echocardiogram, and the first test it is saying that your cardiogram is no straight, nothing, no problem in it. And when you go for the same ECG the next time, and both are giving different type of results, that means it is having test-retest variability. That is test-retest, not reliability. If it is giving both the time the same results, that means the test is said to be having reliability. In other words, in our educational arena, suppose if I conduct a test on Akbar's on a Mughal period, and I have framed questions on that, and I conduct the test, and I have taken the scores. After 1 month of time, again I am conducting the test, a test on Mughal period. Then both results should give the same. Both the tests should give the same results, or the correlation between both the tests should be very high. If the correlation is very high, the questions that I have framed on Mughal period is said to be having reliability. Otherwise, the test which I have taken is not having reliability. That we can assume. It is the example for test-retest reliability. Customer first time taking, second time taking. Inter-method reliability assesses the degree to which test scores are consistent when there is a variation in the methods or instruments used. This allows inter-rater reliability to be ruled out when dealing with forms. It may be termed parallel forms reliability. Now, suppose you are conducting a test, and after a period of time you are conducting the test, that carryover effect may be there. Suppose you are conducting a test to measure how many idlis you have taken per day, like that you are asking a question. After a moment of time, again you are asking the same question, and the person is supposed to recall earlier question also, he asked the same question. The carryover effect will be there. But in the internal parallel form of method, the carryover effect will not be there. In statistics and research, internal consistency is typically a measure based on the correlations between different items on the same test or the same subscale on a larger test. It measures whether several items that propose to measure the same general construct produce similar scores. For example, if a respondent expressed agreement with the statements, I like to ride bicycles and I have enjoyed riding bicycles in the past, and disagreement with the statement, I hate bicycles, this would be indicative of good internal consistency of the test. Internal consistency, you can understand internal consistency, whether the test should, the items should be inconsistent with the common area. If it is not inconsistent with the common area, if you are finding out internal consistency by Cronbach alpha, it will give you a clear picture that item total correlation is not good. Suppose the item, all the items given in the particular test should be uniformly go in one direction of your research variable. If any one of the questions are purposely given to discriminate the persons who are giving halo effect or some other effect, that is known as discriminant items. Those discriminant items also is given the proper rating, and that means the test takers have not taken the differences. That means it is not having internal consistency. Internal consistency reliability is attribute 1, attribute 2, attribute. Total attributes should be the common, and it should not differ in the attribute 2. So once again, I would like to repeat the thing. I like to ride bicycles. I hate bicycles. I hate bicycles. These two are different. Suppose you consider that the person is rating yes, very high. I like to ride bicycle. Strongly agree. Yes, put a tick more on that. In the same way, for I hate bicycles also, he says that he has given tick mark in the very strongly agree means both are different. It means it is not having internal consistency. The person differs within the item. That means it is not having reliability. Then normally, what are the factors which contribute to consistency? Stable characteristics of the individual or the attribute that one is trying to measure. That gives consistency. Stable characteristics. Different characteristics in the different time. That should not be there. Factors that contribute to inconsistency. Features of the individual or the situation that can affect test scores but have nothing to do with the attribute being measured. Different tests are different even though in different times the test should give the same result. Whether you are conducted during summer or during winter, both times you should give the same result. These factors include temporary but general characteristics of the individual, health fatigue, motivation, emotional strain, temporary and specific characteristics of individual, comprehension of the specific task, specific tricks or techniques of dealing with the particular test materials, fluctuations of memory, attention or accuracy, aspects of the testing situation, freedom from distraction, clarity of instructions, interaction of personality, sex or race of examiner, chance factors, luck in selection of answers by sheer guessing, momentary distraction. Normally, a standard test maker, what they will do? They will give some distractions purposely given in order to check the observer, in order to check the radar's reliability. 4 or 5 items will be in negative, and for that they have given a mark in the negative way. So normally, if you have seen some of the test items, and you can in the test itself, in the methodology part, they might have mentioned 50 items are positive items, 20 items are negative items, and for the positive items rating will be like this: 4, 3, 2, 1. For the negative items, the rating will be like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So ascending order, descending order. Because purposively the test the makers will give some distraction to check the accuracy of responses by the raters. That is given. That gives inconsistency. Then again, I would like to list out the type of reliability. Retest reliability method directly assesses the degree to which test scores are consistent from one test administration to the next. It involves what are the things: administering a test to a group of individuals, re-administering, correlating, and using Pearson product moment correlation coefficient or item total correlation. Item total correlation means for a particular item, you are giving 20 items to 30 students. For the 30 students, total scores will be taking. The total scores of 30 students will be listing out in one column. And for a particular student, for a particular item, all the 30 students' response will be in the next column. Now you are comparing these two. That is, you will be employing correlation method. If the correlation is very high, the item total correlation is good. Suppose the item is not in agreement with the total correlation, that item should be eliminated. That is in the test reliability. Now, overall picture, giving different picture. The slide gives the overall picture of different methods of measuring reliability. Inter-reliability by two different customers agreeing upon one attribute. That is inter-rater reliability. Test reliability. Customer in first time, customer in second time. Parallel forms reliability. Survey versus survey in B. So in parallel forms reliability, normally we will construct two different tests of the same trait. Then it is very difficult to construct the two different tests for a particular trait. Suppose you are asked to make study habits of ICT students, you have to construct study habits 40 items or 50 items. You will be constructing in your questionnaire. In order to test its reliability using parallel forms method, the same 40 or 50 items on study habits should be constructed. Now you see, this is very difficult. That is why most of the researchers are not going for parallel forms of reliability. They are easily employing test-retest method reliability. But there is one drawback in test-retest method reliability. That is, the carryover effect will be there. The first test takers knowing pretty well that these are the positive items, these are the negative items, and when they are conducting the test again second time, they will cleverly answer, avoiding the negative items. That means it is having carryover effect. Then internal consistency, one attribute to the different attributes of a question the customers are agreeing upon. Suppose I like riding bicycles, I hate bicycles. These are two different aspects. But if it is positive, this is positive, that is negative. For the positive, the scores will be in positive way. For the negative, the scores will be negative way. If the student has answered in the proper way, naturally the test will be having internal consistency. Suppose if he has not done, means it is not having internal consistency. Parallel forms method. The key to this method is the development of alternative test forms that are equivalent in terms of content, response processes, and statistical characteristics. For example, alternate forms exist for several tests of general intelligence, and these tests are generally seen equivalent. Suppose you are constructing a test, pre-test for your experiment. Now, normally, in order to test the level of, why do we conduct pre-test? I would like to give example why we are conducting pre-test. Suppose we are conducting an experimental study, experimental group and control group. In order to assign students to both experimental group and control group randomly, we conduct a pre-test. Having taken the pre-test scores, after taking the pre-test scores, we are arranging the students on the basis of merit, and after arranging students on the basis of merit, we are assigning the students to experimental group and control group. Suppose you are doing based on your pretest. How do you ensure that the pretest is clearly differentiating your student into top scorers and bottom scorers? In order to check whether your pretest is inconsistent with the already test, normally we go for intelligence test. When we are conducting intelligence test, and intelligence test and pretest both are compared, and if both give the same result, then we decide based on our pretest, and based on our pretest we rank the student, and we put odd number of students into control group and even number of students to experimental group. Like that we are doing. With the parallel test model, it is possible to develop two forms of a test that are equal in the sense that person's true score on form A will be identical to their true score on form B. In both forms of the test were administered to a number of people. Differences between scores on form A and form B may be due to errors in measurement only. It involves administering one form of the test to a group of individuals, at some later time administering an alternate form of the same test to the same group of people. Correlating scores on form A with scores on form B. The correlation between scores on the two alternate forms is used to estimate the reliability of the test. Then test-retest method already we have seen. It has some advantages. What are the advantages? This technique is it may be very difficult to create several alternate forms, so it is easy to administer. It is also difficult, if not impossible, to guarantee. The two alternate forms of test are parallel measures. That is also not possible. Then split-off method. Now, another easiest way in parallel form method is, in this method, instead of going for parallel forms method, for each content, for each teaching point, for each teaching trait, we may have two questions. Suppose we have constructed a test and we have found out validity, then you can split it into two, split off, even number of items, odd number of items. We can conduct these two tests to the student, and you can see correlation between these two. If the correlation is high, then you can consider that the tool is having reliability. That is known as split off method. This method treats the two halves of measure as alternate forms. Instead of making another parallel similar test, you are taking only one form of test. That form of test you are splitting into two, and you are conducting into the group, and you are finding out correlation between these two. And if the correlation is very high, then you assume that it is said to be having reliability. It involves administering a test to a group of individuals, splitting the test in half, correlating scores. Now, there are several ways. Again, these are all simple odd number items, even number items. First 1 to 20, second 20 items, what it like that you can give. In whatever way convenient to you, that you can do. It can be split into two. That is internal consistency. Normally, for internal consistency, I said item total correlation. Normally, we apply Cronbach's alpha. Now we are using SPSS. You can find out Cronbach's alpha. ground path Richardson formula 20, KR20. These two tests are used for finding out internal consistency. Internal consistency is nothing but, once again you see the slide, then only you will understand. This slide can use, I would like to give a recap. Internal consistency for the different attributes, only one person is responding. The responses of a person to different attributes should be similar. That is internal consistency. For a parallel forms response, two forms you are giving. For the two forms, equal responses. That is parallel forms. And the test reaches two different times. And inter-rater reliability, customer 1 and customer 4, two different raters are agreeing upon common items. That is inter-rater reliability. Now, after I think this bit of method, internal consistency, with this that reliability is over. Now, then that internal consistency also measures item difficulty and item discrimination. In the experimental study, normally we go for item difficulty and item discrimination. The item difficulty and item discrimination is nothing but finding out the internal consistency of an item. That is, we will be eliminating items which is having low difficulty level and the item which is having which is not having required discrimination level. We will be eliminating. The item which is having very low difficulty level and very high difficulty level will also be eliminated. That we will fix. Normally, difficulty level is fixed from 25 to 75, like that we are fixing. And for discrimination value, we are above 20.20, we are fixing. That I have already discussed in another discussion on the research methodology. Now coming to standardization. This is the final and the last one topic in today's presentation. That is standardization. What do you mean by standardization? Now let us first read out the definition. Standardization is the process of implementing and developing technical standards based on the consensus of different parties. You see, consensus. Consensus means common agreed views. Consensus of different parties that include firms, users, interest groups, standards, organizations, and governments. Standardization can help maximize compatibility, interoperability, safety, repeatability, or quality. It can also facilitate commoditization of formerly custom processes. In social sciences, including economics, the idea of standardization is close to the solution for a coordination problem, a situation in which all parties can realize mutual gains, but only by making mutually consistent decisions. This view includes the case of spontaneous standardization processes to produce de facto standards. To understand this, it is very difficult. I will give one example for standardization procedure. Most of the boys who are going for ready-made shirts or ready-made pants, take for example ready-made shirts. The sizes are ranging from 38, 40, 42, 44, 46. On what basis these sizes are in India? The same size will not be applicable to Americans. The size is applicable only to Indians. Now you are placing an order through online. There are Flipkart. In a Flipkart or in a Snapdeal, you are placing an order for a shoe size or shirt size. You are fixing 42 or 44. And now, have you ever imagined how these ready-made shirt makers have come up on a common size of 38, 40, 42, 44? And you can see across different brands, you can say, suppose the shirt 42 size is okay for me. The 42 size of, you can take Ruggers, or you can take any other Indigo Nation, or you can take Louis Philippe, or any other brand. You can straight away you can go and you can ask, the person in the shop will ask, sir, what is your size? He will say that your size is 42. They will take a shirt and they will show you the size of 42 shirts to you, and you can choose based on your taste. That means, how do they agree upon the particular 42 size? What may be the process they may have undergone to come upon a common agreed 42 size? That means they might have gone the process of standardization of your chest measure. So how they would have done this? They could have done this by standardization procedure. The standardization procedure is nothing but collecting samples using cluster sample. I have already told you in sampling technique there are different samples: stratified sample, cluster sample, multi-staging sample. In cluster samples, for example, India there are 32 states, and you have to come to a common shirt size for the boys, for the gents. Then you have to take from 32 states, you have to take randomly 4 or 5 states, cluster wise you can take. Suppose the people who are in the northeastern states, or they have Mongoloid race, different race, and if those people who are in Kashmir, they are in the Central Asian race, and those who are in the South are Dravidian race, and each and every these races are having different chest measurements, and the cluster sample, they will take these people and they will have a measurement of their chest size, and they will find out the common chest size among the particular age level, and here also they will commonly agree upon a particular size level, and if they agree upon all these clusters a particular common size, and they will measure, they will bring into common, and they will identify the common measurement size. Thereby only we are getting the size of 38, 40, 42, 44. This is the best example I can give for standardization. Likewise, your test should also be standardized. The test should be applicable to northeastern state people. Study habits. Suppose the same study habits we can take. The study habits should be applicable to northeastern state people, southern state people, and people of Kashmir and people of Gujarat. And all of them should give a common result. Then only you can consider that the test is standardized. In most of the dissertations I have found, people say that the tool is standardized. Standardization is not an easy process. Standardization itself, standardizing process itself involves a PhD degree. Standardization procedure, you have to take samples from the whole of India, and you have to go for cluster sampling. You have to analyze all these things. You have to find out a common thing. Then only the standardization procedure will be complete. Otherwise, using a small sample of people in your locality, and if you are saying that it is a standardized tool, it is not standardized tool, but it is, you can say that it is a validated tool, not a standardized tool. Standardization means commonly agreed upon the common norms of the entire Indian population. That is known as standardization of a process. Standard ISO standard norms. They are fixing some standard norms. How do they fix some standard norms? They see the qualities in different places and have come upon with the common norms. For example, even the same blood test, you can say WHO has given pressure, blood pressure and sugar level. And how do they agree upon the common level? They take samples from different countries and they have a common agreement. And with this level, below this level, there is no diabetes. Above this level, there is a diabetes. Below this, there is no pressure. Above which, there is a pressure. How do they agree upon? They do take this standardization procedure. Now, I hope all have understood what is standardization procedure. And again, see this slide, which is showing cluster sample. In this, see people for suppose 6 regions, people from the second region, people from the 6th region will be taking, and they will be assessed. So this is standardization procedure. So with this, I conclude my presentation today. Thank you so much. Today, a recap of my discussion. I have discussed validity and reliability. In validity, the type of validity I have discussed: content validity, criterion validity is divided into 2: concurrent validity and predictive validity, and construct validity and phase validity. And you can see reliability. Reliability we have seen test method, and we have seen parallel form method and split off method and internal consistency. These are all part of the reliability, then standardization procedure. And thank you all for your patient listening. We will meet you in the next session on the various types of tests and other things that you have to cover in the B, research in education, UGC net syllabus, research in education, A over D, the last part we will be covering in the next session. Thank you so much for your patient listening. Now the session is open for discussion.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your very informative session. Participants, now you can post your queries in the chat box.
This session is also followed by test. Anupriya Kumari has asked one question, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
Anupriya Kumari, good morning. Again, I would like to explain you. Internal consistency means, suppose I will give you example. You are asking questions related to corona awareness example, and he will frame lot of questions. I already do corona awareness. How many of whether the people the questions normally ranges from, do you know about corona? What are the ways in which it affects human body, and by touching nose or something like that, you will be framing number of questions. And in between, and you will be having, I will be adding more questions. But you have some doubt that whether these items are having consistency among itself, that you have to check. How will you check that? As I told earlier, in order to check the internal consistency, the above 30 items are there. You will be giving 30 items to 30 students. Again, I repeat, 30 items to 30 students. 30 items, that is overall mark of, suppose for example, for 30, a person has taken 25. All the 30 students marks you are listing out. Okay, top to bottom you will be taking all the 30 students on the total scores. And each and every item is checked with the total correlation. That is for item number 1 in the 30. Once again, don't confuse yourself. You are giving 30 items to 30 students to check internal consistency. You have constructed questions on corona awareness. Corona awareness, you have constructed 30 items related to how it affects, what are the ways in which you have to help prepare, what are the precaution measures, and soap, applying soap, like that we can classify all these questions. But at the end of the test, now you wanted to consider whether these items are in agreement with all other items, or whether all the items are in uniform direction of bringing out corona awareness of my students. That time you have to check. For the 30, normally the scores will be 25, 23, like that they will be having. That you are listing out. That is column wise. 1. Number 2, for a particular item number 3, you are taking item number 3. Item number 3, for item number 3, all the 30 students' responses you will be taking, and you will be listing out in the column 2. Both the scores you will be applying correlation, product moment correlation, and you will be finding out the result. If the correlation is positive, very high, then you can consider that. Likewise, like 3, all the 30 items will be compared with the total items. All the 30 plus 30 items with the total. That means 30, when all the items are in having good positive high correlation, the test is said to be having internal consistency. If it is not having internal consistency, that means that particular item is not in agreement with all other items. That means, in another word, all other items are helping me to find out the corona awareness of population, but the one item is not helping me to find out the corona awareness. That item should be eliminated. There is, I think, this will make you understand clearly. Okay, got it now? Yes, thank you, Anupriya Kumar, thank you.
Participants, you can post your queries in the chat box.
We can give test link today. Now itself we can give test link.
We have given it to them, sir.
Okay then.
Okay. So it seems like it.
I think no question. Thank you so much. Thank you all for your patient listening. I can hear, I can see so many people are saying thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. We'll meet again. Bye.
Good.
We can end the meeting now.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Now I request caller, Department of Educational Technology, propose the vote of thanks.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you. A very good afternoon to one and all. I am very much privileged to propose a vote of thanks on this occasion. First of all, I wish to express my gratitude to our Honorable Vice Chancellor, Professor Dr.N.Ramakrishnan sir, for proudly encouragement and support for giving this opportunity to organize this event. Thank you, sir. I would like to extend my special thanks to our eminent resource person achieved the Silver Jubilee National Level Webinar on Research in Education Part 5. This session really interesting and shed light on research knowledge of net preparatory aspirant. So once again, I proud thank to Professor Dr.N.Ramakrishnan sir, members Syndicate, Professor and Head Department of Education Technology, Tamilnadu Teachers Education University. Thank you very much, sir. I sincere thank to program host Mrs. Prasita Indumari, Research Scholar, Department of Education Technology, Tamilnadu Teachers Education University. Thank you, ma'am. I heartily extend my special and sincere thanks to program participants, various universities, colleges in Tamil Nadu and other part of our country. Thank you all. Once again, I cordially thank to this program organizing committee, Dr. M. Arugya Prasilla ma'am, Principal of Mangai College of Education, Women, Madurai, Divya ma'am, Yamuna Rani ma'am, Revati ma'am, Mutrani ma'am, Urgeswari ma'am, Umarani ma'am, Suganya ma'am. Thank you to all. Once again, I thank to all. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay, we'll end the meeting.
Okay, sir. So with this, our session gets over. This is not the end. We'll further meet in another knowledge sharing session. Thanks for coming. Thank you all.
Thank you. Bye.